Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. Dear ones, I am Archangel Michael. Let's start today, another part of religions. As I already said, I don't really like mentioning names here, going back to history. Of course, at some points I need to mention names, so that you can organize yourself in time and space. I have already spoken here about African religions, which are very old. So a lot has already been explained. So at the same time that African religions emerged, those who had discovered these religions as a form of maneuver, decided to expand this throughout the world. And then let's talk about gods, let's talk about Greek mythology, let's talk about a series of beliefs that were created at the time. It's like I've always said to you, light has never been absent on the planet. We have always been here in one way or another, following the developments of the planet, the unfolding of the atonement of this planet. Because as I already said here, this planet was a school planet, where people came here to exactly resonate with the feelings of the third dimension. Very good. Everything was going well. The manipulation that was already beginning had already been counterbalanced. As I have already explained in relation to African religions, where souls of light began to incorporate themselves into people, to the detriment of those beings who wanted it to be just them, manipulating people. Beliefs about gods and goddesses, with non-human forms, I can't tell you that they were just beliefs. Exactly in the same way that we balance African religions, many beings of light arrived on the planet. To always show, to those who were applying the tests, that they did not have control, that they could actually adopt some techniques, but that we would always be there, keeping the scales at position 0. So I can tell you that many of the gods you know were not simply legends, nor the imagination of some. They really came to Earth, precisely to maintain this balance. I can tell you that many of your cinematic stories of the union of these beings with earthly beings, this never happened. That wasn't the idea. So yes, there is a production of stories, to exactly take away the strength, the superiority of those beings who arrived here. Why, what does this demonstrate? That a very high-dimensional being would allow itself to be involved by a human, with very low frequency? This doesn't make any sense. Would temptation overcome them? So, this doesn't exist. The beings really arrived here, implemented some ideas, brought development. Nothing beyond that. Always with the aim of keeping the scales balanced. So many beliefs in gods were created. Exactly there, we learned, worship, idolatry, always imagining that God, when I say God here, it is not Father or Mother God, they were the gods of ancient mythologies, was always imagining that those gods, to bring something good for the earth, they would have to have an offering, they would have to have some sacrifice, so that they could act. I've already commented on this here, but it's worth remembering, our Father or Mother God would never send beings of light to the planet, who would demand sacrifices of any kind, whether animal sacrifices or human sacrifices. This was never of the light. So if sacrifices were made, in the name of a god, rest assured, they were never made for that god. Behind the curtains, that blood of that individual, that human or that animal, had a certain purpose, which was to keep the dark ones alive. Remember, many of them needed this to stay here on the planet, you needed the substances that run through your veins. That's why blood is such a powerful thing. And a little guidance is in order here. In any case, small domestic accidents that you have, that cause you to get hurt, and that cause blood to escape from your bodies, immediately envelop that point in light. Don't leave it exposed. Don't think it's cute, the blood dripping. I would say to you, I'm going to make a horrible comparison, but you'll understand why in the same way you were taught, sharks already attack you when you have blood, which is not a lie, but not in the way which is made in its cinemas, the smell of blood, the energy of your blood, attracts all kinds of bad energy. So don't let yourself be attacked. Involve whatever, a small cut, it doesn't matter. There is energy coming out, and it is an energy that is felt at many distances. So be careful. Be careful when you cut each other. Don't let yourself get sucked in, because that's what happens. Countless people appear to suck your blood, as it is food for them. No, I'm not here to scare anyone. I'm teaching you exactly what to do, surround the point in light. It's that simple. It is as if you are wrapping the cut point in a bandage of light. He finished. The problem is gone. Why do big accidents happen? How much blood is expelled there? Then many will say, but wait, wasn't it time for people to die? Yes, but those people could die in another way. So let's say that many people actually fulfilled their time missions on Earth, but they could have done it in another way, without bloodshed. Where there is blood, there are beings sucking. Always think that, always remember this. So even if it's not you, you saw someone bleeding, surround that brother in light. Practice an act of love. Practice an act of light. So, that was the purpose of the sacrifices. It was not to please any god, it was to please and to keep themselves alive, so that they would have more and more strength. And then, I'm going to bring in a very well-known figure in your cinema, the vampires. What they do? They suck blood to stay alive. The idea is the same. This is exactly how they stay alive, because they need your energy. But that's another point. We are talking about sacrifices here, so, whoever still has that illusion that it is necessary to make sacrifices to please gods and beings, get it out of your minds, because this is not of the light. No being of light demands sacrifices, doesn't even ask. Because if he does, it is not a being of light that is there. Some souls, in some rituals, as I mentioned, were taught to practice this, and believed they were doing the right thing. There is no judgment. You've all made mistakes. No one here can point the finger at another and say, you made a mistake. And yourself? No one here has failed to make a mistake. Nobody. You've all made mistakes. Their souls have already made a lot of mistakes. Do you, as a human consciousness, only see the current incarnation, and what has passed? And the wars you participated in? And the brothers you killed, in the name of something? You don't remember that. But you did. So everyone's back is dirty, with a brother's blood. Practically, there is not a soul on this planet, ancient, who has not committed murder. The souls that are arriving here, for the event, came with a mission. Some are maintaining themselves well, others have already followed crooked paths too. So here we go again, going back to talking about the blood of wars. What are wars? Pure bloodshed, power, superiority over others. Who kills the most? Who has the most weapons? And it has always been like this, since antiquity, where people fought for land, for power, pure power. Because if they were feelings of light, it would be unity, let's unite. The two cities, the two towns, the two villages, so that together, we can do something better for everyone. No. The idea was always to overlap one another, to show power, to show superiority. And more, causing victims, more blood, more pain, more suffering, more fear. So, that's all there is in the third dimension. So in this way, the idolatries, the images, the idolatries of the supposed beings of light, that there were no beings of light there, began, and everyone followed according to the ideas of that being of light that supposedly, some wise men, some priests, supposedly received the messages from those beings. But the interesting thing is that those priests never left the people, he was never a representative of the people, a humble, good-hearted being who received messages from those beings. No. The interesting thing is that they were always connected to the dome. And strangely, they always received ideas to improve the power of the one who was reigning. Interesting. And yet, everyone believed him. After all, he received information from above. Interesting. So you can see that throughout its history, the people never had a voice, the people have always been oppressed, suffocated, killed, banished, raped, to satisfy everything that the great people believed, which was the best for the gods, where there were no gods there, because those beings of light, who arrived here, did not ask for anything, they came to help, but their idea was so changed, it was changed so much, that they left. They did not remain on the planet and the gods disappeared. Many still continue to operate on this planet, as evolved souls. As I already mentioned, the goddess Isis. And many others, who are currently naming themselves in another way, so that they are not confused with those gods who deceived the people so much. Because it wasn't them, it was anyone but them. But they are there, they remained close to the planet, helping in whatever way they could. So, my brothers, worship, submission, power through religion began to be encouraged, because it was something that touched the hearts of the people. Then it became clear that people believed what was said. Then some rulers said, you have to pay the government, to be able to have something in your lives, through the gods. And with that, the suffering and poor people became increasingly poorer. And the rulers are increasingly rich. But the people believed that if they didn't do that, it would be much worse, they would be destroyed, killed, because that's what happened. Those who did not follow what was instructed, by a strange coincidence were killed. And of course, it was known to those around us that this had been a punishment from the gods. And then, everyone was scared and did exactly what those rulers wanted. So the manipulation, through beliefs, started there. And they saw this as a promising future for them, because everything could be done, in the name of religion, in the name of the gods. No one would take the blame for anything. Who would take the blame? The gods. And as the gods you do not come, you can swear, you can complain, but if you complain too much, be careful with their punishment, because she came. Those who rebelled against religion were killed, of course surreptitiously, to say that it was a punishment. And this has always lived in the minds of humans, we are punished when we do not do what God asks. And who was the God? Then we'll talk about anyone, we are now going to talk about our Father or Mother God. Because many began to understand that there was something bigger than all of this, above all that. A force, which commanded this entire process. Some beings of light came to earth long before Sananda. Muhammad was one of them. He tried to put the word of light and it was understood, in the way they wanted to understand. They distorted Muhammad's words. Muhammad did not teach anything that Muslims believe, because everything was manipulated, in the same way as Sananda's words. Sananda did not dictate the Bible. Sananda's disciples wrote some passages from his life with Sananda. Very good. But this book was modified over time, to be able to assert the power of those who were at the time. And continue the manipulation, by religions. So, that never changed. It doesn't matter what it was, in ancient Greece, in the Roman Empire, it doesn't matter, in ancient Egypt with the pharaohs, it doesn't matter. Manipulation by religions has been going on for a long time. And each one who decided to study in more depth what someone had already written, oh no. But there is a wrong understanding here. Then, I started creating new thoughts, and that grew to the point where a new religion would be created. So, I ask you a question today, how many religions are there on the planet today? I think you don't know. There are countless, because each person, who picks up one of these books and starts to understand it, the way they want, creates a new religion. Then comes a new name and then many start to follow that. And by a strange coincidence, those who always position themselves as spokespeople for the book always say what the people want to hear. Interesting. He never lectures or scolds, as you usually say I do here. Sometimes they even give a little scolding here, a scolding there, but not a scolding about evolution. Usually the scolding is because you are not contributing financially to that temple. How do you want to be attended to by God the Father or Mother, if you don't help the temple to stay upright? So this is how, from the beginning, this little word called tithe was created, in which everyone would have to collaborate with the church. I'm not quoting the Catholic Church here, I'm talking about the church in general. It could even be a Muslim temple, a mosque, a Buddhist temple. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call everyone here church. In the name of that church, everyone had to collaborate. But what did that church really do? Did she help those who were hungry? Did she help those who were cold? Did she help those on the street in the open? Because supposedly the gods taught love. No, I can't deny that love was taught. But where did they teach how to practice love? Yes, let's say she even taught, you have to have love for your neighbor. Then the commandments came and everyone followed them. Hey, hey! Thou shalt not kill. And it was, what you did most. Becoming more and more sinners, ahead of Father or Mother God. That's what they did, if you believe it. And as sinners, you had to give a lot of money to the church to overcome your sins. And there, the churches were getting rich. The people are always hungry, the people are always cold, the people always have nowhere to live, but that was detail. The commanders of that people, that city, that kingdom, were always full of money, living in pomp, throwing food away to the pigs, there was so much of it. And the people are starving. So what would be the real idea of religions? Enrich those who command them, make people increasingly submissive to sin, tied to fear. So no one could rebel. No one could argue. He replied, oh, strangely he appeared dead, because it was a punishment from heaven. So no one had the courage to deny anything, to go against what was said. And the people became increasingly submissive to religions. So, we're going to talk about absurdities here. What would be what? Would it be, to rape women and children, in the name of appeasing divine wrath? Burning entire villages, because one, was against the Chich's determination. Then he killed himself, in the name of God. So, let's remember the Crusades. What was that? I will say what it was a form of easy enrichment, because with each village that was destroyed, in the name of God, the houses were looted. It doesn't matter if there were women, children, old people, men, just a detail. Everything was looted. And it went to the coffers, whose own? Ah, the church. Where is divine love? Where is divine love? Where is the love of Father or Mother God? No, no. Father or Mother God ordered all this to be done. So, more and more, the people found themselves compelled to follow exactly what they were obliged to follow, because if they didn't follow, they would be killed. And many were killed, without even saying a word against it. And then the news that spread afterwards, look. That village was burned, it was attacked, because they preached non-obedience to Father or Mother God. So everyone believed, but there it was just a looting. Just it. So notice how religions spread throughout the world. The power of their religions. Watch. But watch my brothers with an open heart. Don't judge me on what I'm saying. Because I know that many of you here still bow your heads to that punitive God. They continue to believe exactly that it is punitive. That everything that happens in your lives is because you did something wrong. I'm sorry if I'm making your beliefs fall apart. Because this has always been the role of the Church, to enrich. I will say here that yes, many religious people really had the love of what had been taught by Sananda, and cared for their people. They were there as a representative to help the people. I will not deny that they existed and that they still exist. Many do it out of love for the people. They make their church a point of emotional, spiritual, and financial support. I won't deny it. They exist. But you can see that exactly where this exists, it is in those small churches that almost fall into pieces, because there is no one interested in keeping them standing. After all, it yields nothing, because that representative who is there is thinking about the people, not the church. What he receives as help is to eat and make small repairs. Every now and then, the people get together and repair the little church. And there is a point of prayer, it is a point of light, where everyone helps each other, where everyone prays fervently for that just, non-punitive Father or Mother God. Now let's talk about great cathedrals, let's talk about huge temples. What did Sananda preach people? Humility. Sananda never preached wealth. Why immense temples, covered in gold, immense cathedrals? And then let's talk about commerce, because all these places have become commerce. The main objective, which is to save the people, which is to help people who need it, is left aside. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, it happens in some cases, but in the vast majority of cases the objective there is commerce, it is to enrich the big dome, it is to enrich those who are putting it all together. What's the point of having a beautiful church, all covered in gold, or a super modern church with totally technological images, and the people around were starving, the people around asking for justice, the people around being attacked every day due to lack of security? What's the point? So I would like you, those who still believe in all this, to do a lot of reflection. Reflect. Everything is paid. Sananda never charged for a treatment he received. Why? Because he wanted to show that it was possible for everyone. They just needed to believe they were capable of doing it. He lived off donations. Why so much luxury? Why so much money involved? Why don't they fulfill their role? All churches? I'll talk about them all again. Why don't they fulfill their role? To spread love, to spread unity. And then comes that story, that what God has joined together, man cannot separate. Very good. So you will have a couple fighting their entire lives, making children extremely complicated, extremely repressed, suffering in the name of a belief that they cannot be separated. Our Father or Mother God wants the happiness of each child. There is no obligation. There is no rule. Yes, everyone has an obligation to be happy, to find their happiness. Everything is said to the detriment of the supposed family. We can create maladjusted families, as long as they are families, man and woman, son, daughter, everything is fine. Anything that comes out of this context is wrong. Stamped and judged. Guilty. And children in orphanages. Abandoned children. My brothers, let's go. Let's wake up. Let's understand that all this manipulation of religions has nothing to do with the people, it has nothing to do with you. Everyone believes in what they want. Very good. Believe in being. If you believe in a being of light, a saint, it doesn't matter, believe in the being. Not in those who claim to be representatives of those beings, because no one is a representative of any being. Much less the one who is sitting in immense pomp in the middle of Italy. He is not anyone's representative. He is the representative of his religion, before men. Why so much luxury? Why so much display? Because you worship humans. You venerate humans who claim to be representatives of something. And I will state here once again, no human is a representative of anyone from above. Full stop. We do not have human representatives to speak for us. Passing messages is one thing, we pass messages through many, but no one can speak on our behalf. Understand the difference. Believe in beings of light. That's all right. Whoever he is. Be a representative of whatever religion it is, not inhuman representatives. Because these are not at all enlightened, quite the opposite. You are all very well manipulated, by those who want to keep you in check, in domination, all of them, no exception. All. So start to understand how far the lies go. So, the religious books themselves have to enforce what those at the top want to happen. So there it is. No book represents the word of any being of light. I'm saying religious book. So my brothers, shall we wake up? Are we going to stop this idolatry of a supposed representative of above? Because none of them are. The time is coming for this all to come to light. What I'm saying here isn't even 0.1% of the truth. You have no idea what is done out there in the name of religions. You have no idea. The same religions that you indulge in, that you prune yourselves to, that you become robots, full of limiting beliefs, to serve who? Not to Father or Mother God. You are serving anyone but Father or Mother God. Because Father or Mother God does not want slaves, does not want to be subservient, does not want beings full of limiting beliefs. He wants beings who love, he wants beings who don't discriminate, he wants beings who don't judge, he wants beings who don't offend others, because he doesn't think like you do. This is what God the Father or Mother wants, not these ridiculous attitudes and habits that many religions impose on them. Let's go. Let's wake up. Who cares about all this? Who cares about making you a sad, dark, cornered human, always attacking others? Who cares? To those who are manipulating you, because your energy is very far from reaching the fifth dimension. But there is still time. Tear off these clothes, these shells that have been placed on you. Tear everything up. Go out naked into the world and start a new journey. With an open chest, with an open head, believing that Father or Mother God is one. And that He doesn't impose rules on those who love Him. He is what He is. Everyone loves in their own way. There is no rule. And He doesn't want rules. He doesn't punish you, He doesn't punish you. Everything you go through is the result of your own choices. This is the most difficult truth for each of you to accept and understand. There is no punishment. There is no punishment. There are consequences for the actions you performed, whether in this or other incarnations. It doesn't matter. Everything is a consequence. They are lessons. I'll stop here for today. And I would like each one of you, who is there angry, judging me, saying that I'm not the one talking, because this is all absurd, listen to this video several times. And maybe something there starts to break. But open your heart before listening. I don't ask you to believe what I say. I just want you to think. Think about each point I said. If you find any point where I am lying, then I will prove you right. But I want you to search a lot, every word I said. And you will see that in the end, everything I said was the purest truth. And that you were, yes, deceived. And that you were, yes, manipulated. And that you were, yes, used, to pass money to them. Just that. So I'm going to leave you thinking about what was said here today. Tomorrow we continue. I am Archangel Michael. Truths hurt. Truths hurt. But I tell you, the feeling now is of pain and anger, but the truth always sets us free.